by the underwriting. We have had children with bad driving records, which will drive up the overall umbrella, pricing, or clients with bad driving records will drive it up. I think that and you also need to consider what states that they spend a large amount of time in. Certain states, are more litigious in nature than others as it relates to what you're looking to protect. Michigan has a bad reputation as it relates to that. They have a lake home in Michigan. You may want to increase their personal umbrella liability policy up to a higher amount than what would be typical. So they used to have a quote, Chris, you remember the highest payout in the state of Indiana? So for some reason I've got $3.5 million in my mind as it related to what the payout was for a cocktail served at a party and someone killed.
Over a personal injury claim? I don't know.
But it was $3.5 million at one point. So I think it's overkill to cover the entire net worth.
Yeah.
I usually say, if they're $10 million that in the state of Indiana, pretty much bound, max on that would be, $3.5, $4 million is what we would look to cover.
Yeah, Dan's told me half to 2/3, anything 10 and above, half to 2/3.
Do you include retirement accounts in that calculation, or do you take those out?
I didn't get specific with him. I just kind of said, client's got a $2 million net worth, how do I figure how much PUL to have? And he was like half to 2/3. He was, and he said it also depends on where the client lives.
Yeah, I've heard Michigan's just brutal. North Carolina is another one that, from a litigious nature of where it is, you got to be considerate of that as it relates to how much they should cover or not. It's so inexpensive per million for relative to our clients' net worths that we're talking about that you don't need just overinsure, but it's usually a good risk, especially if they're a little fast and loose client that you could see could have some liability considerations. You may want to increase it just to protect them from themselves to some extent. So.
What about on the uninsured motorist liability side? So your policy itself caps, but having a larger umbrella liability to protect against that.
I've always
for smaller net worth people, where Chris's comment about half to 2/3.
Saying half to 2/3 of a $10 million client is what you said, right?
Yeah.
I would be right. I'd be 100% up to $3 million.
Yeah,
that's what I.
Yeah.
So
$3 to $5 million, I'd be up to 100%. It's just cheap. It's just
right.
So it's just not.
So are there any client profiles that don't need it?
As cheap as it is,
I get $1 million. I can't think I don't have friends.
Well, here's another thing, right? So
I don't have friends.
You come over to the house. Here's another way to think about it: is think of it as a legal reserve fund. Is really what it is.
Yeah.
Right. That's why sometimes I'll tell clients who say, "Well, I think $1 million's enough," and I'm like, "Well, I think you need $3 million," and they're like, "Well, I want to pay for it." And I'm like, "Well, how would you like to hire an attorney, to represent you to the extent you're in a claim that exceeds your PUL limit?" I assure you, Safeco will write $1 million check and walk away gladly if they think you're on the hook for $2 to $3 million, right? They'll do that. They'll just say, "Here's $1 million. See you later," and you're left holding the bag. You took out a carload of, expensive New York attorneys in town for, some CE presentation